Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. I want to thank everyone who has been watching, liking, commenting, subscribing to this channel. Help me get to 200 subscribers, folks. Help me get to 10,000 views. I do it all for you folks. You guys are amazing. So in the latest of the documentaries I'll be reviewing here, the latest one is called Obit. And this is directed by Vanessa Gold, who directed a film about origami a few years back. It was made over 56 grand in 3 theaters. And this is about the New York Times obituary writers. In the opening voiceover, I guess, the people are, they're asked, is working on the obituary column, a little bit depressing? And the answer is no, although sometimes things can get a little bit interesting on occasion. This is why I watch documentaries sometimes, folks, is to go places I've never been before and experience people that I've never met. And this is one of those films here. We meet a couple of obituary writers for the New York Times, and they basically say that 90% of the time, obituaries are about life. If you have a person who has reached the age of like higher end 70s, 80s, 90s, that person has led a full life. They have a treasure trove of memories to share. And although I think they're legally obligated to say, yes, this person has passed away, because you don't want a retraction saying this person is alive, because then that way that person will never hear the end of it. I think they're also required to tell you what they died from, actually. Very few newspapers these days have a full department dedicated to the obituary column. The fact that they don't know what they're going to be writing day to day. Basically, there could be really nothing to write about most days. One person comes in basically saying, who died today, basically. One of the more interesting things about this documentary is that they go down to the archive room, or what the obituary people call the morgue, because and this archive room is now being manned by one person, which used to be manned by 30 at one point, because they have shelves and drawers and drawers and shelves of all this information that's been piled up for so many years. More interesting things that they talked about here is they don't have a Rolodex of sources. They're not congressional writers. They don't talk about Capitol Hill. Most of the time, they're on the phone, and sometimes those people who don't call back, and so they're hamstrung with the fact that some of these people don't call them back, or the obituaries, and she's a female here. And one of the questions she's most often asked is, why don't you celebrate more women or minorities? When she came on staff, the people that were dying were from the people that were from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Then the majority of those people who are wheelers, dealers, and shakers were white men. We also do get a little bit of these people, what they're working on. One person is working on a guy who was a media consultant who helped Jack Kennedy with his first televised debate, and another person is working on a person who did television ad jingles during the 60s. This woman that the director talks to, she's working on a person, a British guy who crossed one of the oceans in a rowboat. That person took 6 months to do it. If you're going into this documentary thinking, there's going to be some grand reveal here or some grand thing that they expose about the state of journalism, you're not going to get that here. I think the most pressing thing about this film is the fact that they want to meet a deadline of 5 o'clock. So one of the other interesting things about the obituary column is that they are limited to how many words they can put in an obituary. I think they say the maximum amount is 800 words, although there are exceptions to this rule. I mean, presidents, movie stars, kings might get a fairly longer obituary. The longest obituary that they've done in recent years is Pope John Paul II, which I think got over 11,000 words or something closer to that. Now, of course, if someone dies in their front page news, there may be a debate of where they exactly put you on that front page. They may put you on the bottom. They may put you right front and center of the front page. They also discuss certain people that are assigned to write obituaries for, even though they're currently still alive. One current obituary for this person who recently died in the 30s, that's how long it's been there, for this female who was a stunt aviation pilot, I think she was. Also, another thing that they go into is that, again, people have selective memories about their parents, and sometimes they may bolster the fact that, these people are more important than who they really were. They can't be surprised by people's accomplishments. I think one person, they said their parents worked on the Skylab, and they were like, okay, yeah, sure. And then it actually ended up being that, this person helped fix the Skylab. Go into detail about information that you might not have heard of. For a very long time, obituaries was sort of like a dead-end job of journalism, as people who are there for obituaries or people who are being reprimanded or on their way out or on death's door itself. And now in the last 20 some odd years, it's gone more in vogue. Sometimes, whenever they tell someone they're an obituary writer, one end of the extreme might be, oh, you're an obituary writer. Huh, that's fascinating, and they'll walk away. Or the other extreme is, please don't be around me, you're an obituary writer. So in the end, folks, what I'm going to say here, folks, is Obituary is a leave work early film. Although I never say you want to leave work early for your own obituary. So, folks, what did you think of Obit? Did you happen to like this film? Did you not care for it at all? Please put that in the comment box below. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, and enrich yourself with knowledge. I will see you next time, folks. Yeah,